but we will do little hand discussing if we can. Kind of going with the honor system. Both of these players are guaranteed a spot in the top 8, So Chimera is playing Bunoshi the Ruthless versus No Nonsense's Tetsut deck that we saw much earlier on. I think in the first round or second round of spectating we saw that. Also, we get to see some heckin' nice extended art cards. Look at those. So good.
Yeah, we saw no nonsense in the second round against Cyrus.
Yes, that sounds correct. So we will see turn 1 the use of a dual shard. As always, these dual shards are good on turn 1 because they're meaning you're not losing any resources here. Okay.
Doing some hand reordering, showing some potential plays.
So then we'll see the Sapphire shard come down. A troop will be tunneled on No Nonsense side of the board. Chimera leading out with that Vampire Princess. That puts all of the actions in No Nonsense's hand at risk. So we'll see what he does here. Looks like Arcane Focus is going to be used. Looking at 2 different cards. Going to choose one of these and put them into his hand. Shuffle the other in.
He's looking at that Crackling Bolt and can either use it to kill the Vampire Princess or use that Time Ripple. Looks like he'll just opt to use it. Yay, a charge. That means 1 charge closer to a big old rock elemental.
And the follow-up play from Chimera, of course, being this Vampire King.
But No Nonsense did not get a shard here, so play's a little bit limited. But I don't think it would have changed what actually he wants to do.
So we see the swing. Time Ripple comes out. That'll put the Vampire King back into the hand. Cost +1. We'll see if this actually changes. Yeah, there is no 5th resource for Chimera here, so he'll put a Darkspire.
Darkspire Tyrant or Punisher?
Punisher, yeah. For some reason it looked like Punkster to me, and I just couldn't get my head off of the word Punkster, and I was like, that's such a cool word.
That's a fancy Darkspire Punisher.
Yeah. So we'll see another troop tunneled from No Nonsense. Earlier on in the day, we did see a Subterranean Spy. So that's Chimera's got to be wondering if that's what that is. Swings in, triggers the Fishersmith, which surfaces, destroys the Darkspire Punisher, whose ability is going to either... It looks like he's going to get to draw a Darkspire out of his deck, and he does. The alternative was discarding a random card from No Nonsense's hand, the random part of that being absolutely brutal.
Well, it's got a 25% of discarding a card he doesn't need anyway, so...
Yeah, or a 75%.
70.
Well, you know, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
So now he's got the choice. Could lead out with... He's thinking about it. Could do the thing that does the thing to see if it things the thing.
I like thing.
Yeah, but he is playing into 3 open resources here.
What's that or Duke, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is that or Duke. Looks like we see the Azure Sorceress come down. It will deal 2 damage to Chimera's face, and it is going to... It is going to inspire the Reese the Crustcrawler by the look of it. No murder? No murder. So 4 more damage. This Azure Sorceress has managed to get 6 points of damage in all on its own here, which is pretty fantastic. And then we'll likely see a swing with the Fishersmith and Reese. And if any 4 or higher cost... Oh, we see the murder. Oh, interesting. The murder was saved for Reese. Not worried about the Azure Sorceress quite so much yet. The block on Priestess destroys the Fishersmith, and instead of taking 3 damage, Chimera will get to search his deck for another Darkspire card. The more of those Darkspires he gets in the graveyard, the more threatened No Nonsense will have to feel, as the Tyrant will eventually strike fear. If there's Tyrants in the deck.
I don't think he's focused on Tyrant. Right now he's got Buccaneer. He drew Buccaneer. Buccaneer can handle that 5-cost Vampire King. And nope, it is actually the Tyrant. This one is an alternate art Tyrant.
Yeah.
If only we had an alternate art Darkspire Priestess, then we could have an entirely alternate art Priestess, Tyrant, Punisher set. The ones with text, anyway.
Yeah, we have to wonder if a set 1 alternate art could come out this late into the release cycle. So we'll see that Rock Elemental only hits 2 resources. That's fairly brutal for what No Nonsense was looking for. But he now does have access to the Duke. And the Duke is going to do some interesting things here, because the inspired abilities of copies come into play.
I think doing that math, a copy would enter play, deal 2 damage, and then 2 damage. I don't think you'd put it on Rock Elemental. It's too small.
No, you probably just leave it on the Duke this turn, and then hope to play it on the Hypno Scientist next turn.
He is. That puts his opponent at 6.
It does do a fair amount of damage and gets to swing in here.
But only that one must attack. And it's going to die anyway. Might as well. And it does not kill the Darkspire Tyrant. Which means he doesn't have to deal with draw or...
Mm-hmm. Technically, both troops do have to attack, but without speed, the Rock Elemental can't. You can't override that rule. So we see that Tyrant swinging in. 6 damage will hit No Nonsense in the face. And Extinction is played, clearing the board. Is there anything in Chimera's hand that he can play for 2? No, it looks like he passes the turn.
He did a lot of damage with that, though. I don't know if that's what he wanted. Do you play Reese? Do you play Mesmeric?
I think it's tunnel both here, right?
No, he's going to tunnel and hold counter magic up. Because the Vampire King is still in hand.
That'll be countered away. Now all of the Vampire Kings in Chimera's deck will cost 6.
Reese or a resource? Reese.
A resource.
He actually opts for Reese.
Yeah, the resource just does so little here.
Darkspire Punisher number 2. Darkspire Punisher number 3.
It's kind of scary. Those can deal with the random cards in hand sort of situation.
If he's fearing random card, we are talking about Bonoshi.
His charge power is active.
And has been. Six things. But the chance of it hitting Buccaneer rather than Reese is 25%.
25%, yeah. Well, it's not really 25%. It's weird in that regard, but yes. There's hypogeometric stuff to calculate there because it's 2 different odds. For all intents and purposes, it's a 25%.
Well, no, 50% and 50%.
Yeah, except that it's not like you have to do the 50% and then there's a 50% chance of the 50% chance, so it's just slightly lower.
But all of the results for the first 50% chance are invalid, and only one of the 2 results for the other one.
Yes. So maybe it is exactly 50. But
This was one of the simpler ones. Answers for days. Darkspire's coming out. Murder. Hypnoscientist is whatever. Punisher back to hand, cost 4, won't quite matter.
It's not a huge deal yet. Rotcast destroys that Buccaneer.
Well, here's what will happen. Darkspire Priestess will attack and deal 2. Darkspire Punisher... No, charge power. Never mind. Punisher will die to make Priestess 4 attack, and then he attacks for exactly 4. And loses the random Reese anyway. So Chimera taking game 1.
Yeah, that Benoshi charge power, getting that at 2 extra damage through, incredibly relevant there.
Are you guys surprised to see a Benoshi deck make it this far?
No. I mean, Benoshi is a champion that got better with the release of set 3. There's just better options for sacrifice and aggro E style things. But not surprised now. There are a lot of things I'm surprised of. Not seeing as much Sapphire Wild here is part of it.
The winter didn't indeed come. We didn't have to brace ourselves as much. So no, I'm surprised Benoshi got this far. Perhaps, maybe it isn't that surprising. It's not diminished the deck pilot skills, of course. But after 8 rounds of Swiss, undefeated, it must have gone through many matchups that have also been undefeated up to this point. He is now up 1 game versus No Nonsense. No Nonsense will choose to go first.
Interesting hand. We will try to keep the discussion about it a little low, but he does lead off with that Sapphire. See another Sapphire. Reese will be tunneled here.
Tunnels on both sides. The other one can't be a Reese. Obviously.
Can't be Reese.
Obviously Monsoon. So let's not. Actually, it's not. That's
Could be Wakazashi. Could be a lot of things really. We'll see an Inquisition try to come out. It'll be promptly counter magicked.
Inquisition reveals in this card's counter magic and then gains +2 cost.
Mm-hmm. See a Vampire King hit the board. A terrifying threat.
It's terrifying, but at the same time, well, it's still terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that could make it less terrifying, like if it cost 1 more and it was back in Chimera's hand. He will just replay it. Reese will surface.
Shard 1 turn late. Reese is not inspired.
No.
No, well,
Really.
Azure Fate wouldn't have done much to it anyway. So here's the decision. Do you want to block with that Vampire King in Dane 3? Probably not, given Reese is just big enough. He can't use the Heat Waves in hand either. Makes the Mecha feel
Cape
good.
is actually really good for him here. Like, that does have that revertibility attached to it, which could be relevant against a Benoshi player.
Now, Mecha Philcape's Revert is basic. Does he play Azure Fate now to reduce the amount of cards that can be hit by Vampire King? Because currently he has 3 troops. Looks like he will. He can block and kill Monsoon as well. He may opt for that.
Yeah, it might be worth it.
Because Monsoon is out of range of dying to Heatwave.
Looks like he's going to use both the double block there. Give Chimera the choice between the Sorceress and the Philcape. Looks like we do see the Vampire get hit. That was the Fisher-Smith in hand.
And even then, that Vampire's not the worst thing either. Well, without Ruby, it's a little bit limited.
Yeah. Okay, 8 damage getting pushed through here. Buccaneer will put the Vampire King back into hand, hurting tempo a little more. This might open up the Extinction board, though. The Inductocopter bot shows up. He's like, "What's up? I'll block your vampire." Yeah, I'm an Inductocopter bot. I'm glad those of you who are going to bed now had a good time.
Inductocopter bot.
We'll see the Vampire King replayed, which I would say is almost reasonably a good sign that there's no Extinctionis on its way. We'll see what No Nonsense draws this turn. Ooh, spicy.
How much do you want that Vampire King to cost?
Let me call up my buddy. He's an expert on Vampire Kings. He'll tell me how much I can get for this Vampire King. Since the Vampire King back to hand is going to revert the Vampire to avoid life drain. This is probably the last chance he'll have to use the Mecha Philcape ability. It will turn it into a Fisher-Smith.
That also means it can't block Inductocopter bot.
Which is true. Can't block and kill Inductocopter bot. Can trade with the Buccaneer, but will just block Reese here.
It's a lot of damage.
Infiltrator bot? Spider robot. The first spider in Hex. Extinction? No extinction. I think if you have extinction, this is where you click the extinction button and laugh. No, Inquisition. Gonna look at the hand first. Sees a bunch of ruby cards that...
Which card do you want to discard?
Yeah, I mean, take one away. I'm not gonna play them anyway. Chimera says good game. Unless he can deal 17 points of damage with 3 resources here. He can't. They're 1-1. The 2 undefeated players playing for that undefeated top seed. The 8-0 spot in the Sapphire Cup 2 this afternoon.
And in our tournament, that is a relevant spot because the higher seed in the top 4 goes first. Is that still correct?
Yes.
Gets to decide.
Gets to decide. So in the case that you are just the most control of control matchups, you're just ready for anything they play, you could choose to draw. These players are both 7-0, undefeated, going into round 8. Well, if we were a 9-round tournament, everyone can have 2 round buys. How about that?
I mean, that's not up on the screen. Well, I guess it's gonna be.
It's not on screen. I am not putting that on screen. Skype and stuff, I just can't.
I mean, there is Skype info on there.
Yeah, I can't put it on screen.
Yeah, there's for what it's worth. What we just saw was Michael Allen on Skype, the head judge of the tournament, saying that one of his judge decisions was late because he was pooping. Naturally, Zubrin Human does have to use the bathroom at times. Yes, these guys are not both 9-0. If I said that, I'm bad.
We could
So
just
we
give
see-
everyone two round
Yeah,
rounds.
yeah. Everyone gets 2
Guys?
free round wins. Yeah, it doesn't change anything. So we see the Ruby Shard led off here. It was a Shard of Innovation. We'll see what No Nonsense can do for turn 2. On the other side of the board, a far more aggressive start than we've seen. 2 Blood Shards, a Tunneled Troop, and a minion of Yazakan. As with the rest of the games, we will see a Tunneled Troop from No Nonsense on turn dos.
What a fortuitous draw, may I add?
Yeah, it was the draw for the turn. Again, we are trying to be a little bit discreet about his hand. We see another swing from the minion of Yazakan. And out comes the Vampire Princess. Just a brutal turn 3 play. Might see the charge power. Put the minion of Yazakan. Nope, we do not see that. Ooh.
That will prove to be...
Will it? Will it?
Will it?
What? There's a lot of options here. There's some things to think about and some stuff to do. Chimera, of course, could have used his charge power there, choosing not to do it.
Yeah, there's some funny things that could happen.
This might mean that it's safe to do that. Of course, the minion of Yazakan can't block, so there's no reason to hold it back in these situations. But Chimera does not appear to have a 4th shard. And No Nonsense lets the 1 point of damage through, not afraid of that. 4 cards in hand, one of them is an increased cost Vampire Princess. On the other side of the board, we'll see what No Nonsense can do here, and there's a fairly fun combo next turn.
It's interesting. Because of the Monsoon, you don't want to kill the Vampire Princess. You want to return it to hand. You want it to...
The presumed.
We presume it's a Monsoon. It may not be.
Okay, it is a
From
Monsoon.
last game.
Yeah. It could be a Wakizashi. Absolutely could be a Wakizashi. And it's important to never discount that. Because Wakizashi Ambusher is as good as it can be for a troop. Yes. That there is that fun combo where the duplicitous Duke that No Nonsense was just holding in his hand can go onto the Buccaneer, and the copied Buccaneer that comes into play every turn will just keep bouncing troops and laughing like the troll that it is. And we might see that this turn on 5 resources. And I can't imagine we don't here. Also, we'll see 4 points of damage come through. This will, like you say, put the Vampire Princess back into hand, nullifying the effects of Monsoon, presumed. Could be an Excavation Hulk. Probably not an Excavation Hulk. 4 points of damage come through. Now, funnily enough, those 4 points of damage take Chimera down to 14, but that minion of Yazakan's been getting some work done. So this actually puts them within 2 points of health of each other.
1 damage at a time.
Murder comes out on the Buccaneer, which takes with it the duplicitous Duke's charge power.
Is now a 2/2.
Yeah, it's just a 2/2. Probably no reversion for that in No Nonsense's deck unless he's running Fish Hands. And we see a sacrifice onto the Monsoon, making it a 5/5. Making it a 7/5 when it swings. 7 points of damage. No Nonsense has to decide what to do here. Might just take this on the chin. Could chump with the duplicitous Duke here.
I don't think you do it.
And it looks like he agrees with you. Goes to 9. 1 resource open for Chimera means that Reese the Crustcrawler will surface fairly safely, and Azurfate would have been a nice draw. It's not. We'll see what No Nonsense chooses to do. Swings with both. A bold swing, does 6 damage, brings Chimera down to 8. Both players within 1 health of each other again. 4 cards in Chimera's hand. 1 is an increased costed Vampire Princess still.
Mm-hmm.
And Jankbot is the Reese trigger. Now, Jankbot is one of those cards that makes Extinction a much more viable option for Chimera here. He says, hacks. Of course, it's not hacks. It's not a PvE card.
It sometimes seems like a PvE card.
Yeah. I see a lot of Reese's create a lot of jank bots. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that I've seen a lot of Reese's create a lot of jank bots.
If you're not familiar
It's
with Jankbot, it's pretty powerful as a 4 cost with 5 attack and 6 defense. And when it attacks, it reveals 3 random cards in your deck and you get to play all of them for free. Or you do play all of them for free. It's not an option.
Yeah. We do have to see the block here. It makes more sense for No Nonsense to hold up the Time Ripple to do exactly what he's about to do. So, while it is a less fun play, he does save
It's
his
the
Reese
correct
from the
one.
extinction. Yeah. And we'll get to replay it.
Making another end of turn thingy.
Yeah. Gotta get those thingy things down. Shield bot, not the worst. Minion if he has a can, not the best. Can't really swing into this board. But it can go back underground, get its 1 extra attack when it surfaces. See a murder on Reese. Farewell, Reese. You did some job. You did some jobs there. Minion if he has a can will swing in. No Nonsense will take this on the chin, knowing that he can retaliate with slightly more damage. Got that
Close.
charge power in his pocket should he need. Probably looking for that that Azure Sorceress been hiding on him. He's probably got 4 in the deck. Really low odds of not finding one at this point.
He's got to use it now. He's about to use it now. Let's see what he gets.
A 4/4, pretty good. So we'll see Chimera swings in, triggers the Fishersmith. With 4 resources, does he have a play here? Does have that Vampire Princess, could come down. And it's a Zentos Inquisitor. I believe that's not game. Nope. Well, 3. Yeah, no, that's game. That's game. It's game in a different way than I was thinking. My first line wouldn't win. The second line does.
So he will take at the very least 3 damage here with only 1 blocker.
Yeah, and then the Crackling Bolt will get in there. Meaning, No Nonsense will be the undefeated player coming out of round 1. Or round 1, day 1. The Zap, Crackle, Snap, Bolt. Both players making it to the top 8. Hard to feel sad for either of them here.
Perhaps they will meet again in the finals tomorrow.
They will be on opposite ends of the bracket. I believe the way that's going to flounder is because of that.